Digimon Ghost Game's second last episode was really good. We got the evolution for Gulas Gamamon, Regulusmon, we got an explanation for what's been going on in the digital world, the GRB, our closest look yet at the entity that has been sending Digimon to the human world, the human friends of Hiro and the gang coming to finally understand that Digimon aren't just holograms, and an amazing tag team of Siriusmon, Amphimon, and Dilbitmon versus the Black Dragon of Destruction himself, Regulusmon. So was the episode good enough to win back skeptical fans? Has Ghost Game been amazing all along, or is it still disappointing? Let's discuss and review 66 so we can try to answer those questions. Welcome back to the channel. Make sure to subscribe just so you don't miss the 67 review next week. That's the Digimon Ghost Game finale, the final episode. This week we have the narrator back, but instead of the usual lines about hologram ghosts, we get basically a last time on Digimon Ghost Game recap. The Digimon have taken refuge in the human world, society is in chaos after all digital devices stopped working. Hiro and his friends travel to the digital world to uncover the truth. Standing in front of Bloom Lordmon, Hiro says Lilithmon said there's a being sending Digimon to the human world, but before he can finish talking, Bloom Lordmon slams the ground and says, "I will protect the great being who has focused on this world to give us a better future." Just to confirm, we do not meet this great being this week, though we do see what appears to be the great being's silhouette. I would have liked to see that introduction this week, but it's very clear it will happen next week. Bloom Lordmon says, "If you take one step further, I will attack," and here we finally get all three Megas fighting side by side, but only after a minute and a half of evolution sequences, which was tough to watch when we have less than 40 minutes of Ghost Game left. I know canned animations is nothing new for Digimon, so I can't really complain, but what I found hilarious was that Bloom Lordmon's multiple seed attacks bound our partners 40 seconds into the battle, meaning it took more time for Jellymon and Angoromon to evolve than it did for them to fight and be defeated. Their part of the fight was literally 40 seconds from 510 to 540, while their evolutions lasted 355 to 510, a minute and 15 seconds to complete. So that was kind of funny, but from this point onwards, it's completely go, go, go. Siriusmon is the only one left, and he says, "Let us meet the Voice's owner." Bloom Lordmon says, "We don't need help. Our Lord already saved the digital world by sending them to the human world." This is interesting. So the great being has in fact been sending Digimon to the human world, and that was its strategy for saving the digital world. My theory is maybe a planned reboot of some kind is moments away from happening, rebooting the world itself, but this great being wanted to clear all the Digimon out before the reboot took place so that none of them were caught up in the reboot. Now in the human world, we get to see what Hiro's dad had planned for the boys' classmates when he smiled at them last week. He split them up into groups to go across town, stopping Digimon incidents. Terriermon says, "If you see a Digimon causing trouble, please talk to them and stop them." We see one of the boys' dorm mates, Riku, comment, "I can't believe Mei and Gamamon weren't holograms." Mei is referring to Mei Crackmon, who is of course the star of the second most popular video on my channel for some reason, who knows. Riku is worried, but Kotaro says if the other Digimon are anything like Gamamon, we'll be fine, which is actually oddly sweet. I liked this a lot. The animation is exceptional in this quick confrontation that we get between Hover Espimon and Bloom Lordmon, followed by a couple exceptional shots of Bloom Lordmon about to impale or defeat Gamamon. Before he can, we go inside Gamamon's mind where Gulas' voice explains all the reasons why Gamamon needs to let Gulas take the lead in this battle. Bloom Lordmon finally says something about Gulas and the state of the world that is very important. Quote, "The dark entity inside you is the one who corroded the digital world." But before he can elaborate, Gulas emerges from within Gamamon. We then see an outline of the dual V symbol that's on the Vital Bracelet upgrade. Then we cut to some shadow entity and some green wired tubes or machinery. This would appear to be the great being that Bloom Lordmon is guarding, but I couldn't decipher if this is an existing Digimon that I should recognize. Of course, let me know if you know who it is. Bloom Lordmon comes face to face with Gulas and says, quote, "You are just a coward hiding inside an untainted Digimon, the menace who corrupted the digital world with darkness." This is also incredibly interesting. So here it's sounding like Gulas truly is a separate entity that existed outside of Gamamon and hid inside Gamma's body for over a year and a half. This is actually kind of sad. Like, this little baby dinosaur was possessed by Satan himself, and as far as we know, it's sounding like he didn't do anything wrong to deserve this. He was just targeted for being so innocent. Gulas explains a lot more for us here. We get an in-universe mention of Gulas Realm Burst, GRB for short. It increases a Digimon's survival instincts and fighting power. Apparently back when Gamamon was hanging around with Hokuto in the digital world, Gamma was infected without knowing it, and Gulas left some of the GRB behind, and we get this little shot of a little venom-like symbiote thing falling off of Gamamon's tail and touching the ground of the digital world itself. Apparently that was Gulas corrupting the world. I would have loved to see some kind of scene where Gulas, acting through Gamamon, maybe convinced Hokuto, Hiro's father, to send Gamamon into the human world so that Gulas could one day conquer another world or something like that. But as of now, we don't get anything quite like that. Nothing explaining why Hokuto specifically thought Gamamon was important to send to Hiro in the human world. Maybe we'll get something like that next week. And if we don't, it'll be kind of a weird missing link in the plot. Finally, in the present, we get our Regulusmon evolution, and it looks exceptional. No complaints here visually. He didn't need to force a synchronization with Hiro to become Regulusmon. That happens later. It seemed he could just do it, maybe by virtue of being in the digital world, which is now corrupted by his signature GRB. Gulas Gabumon can evolve. Regulusmon can speak and is intellectual the same way Gulas was. Tables have turned, and Bloom Lordmon really is feeling like the virtuous protagonist now in this battle. Facing off against Regulusmon, Bloom Lordmon does feel like this hero of justice. Something is going on with Hiro's Digivice. Bloom Lordmon loses a beam struggle to Regulusmon, though Regulusmon's horn is shattered. Hiro catches on to this, tempts Regulusmon, saying, you know, face it, you don't have enough power to beat Bloom Lordmon. Why don't you synchronize with me? This is awesome. I love Hiro being the one here to tempt Regulusmon to synchronize. Regulus suspects something is up, but Hiro convinces him to let them try it. The gamble works out in Hiro's favor, and synchronizing allows for the Gabumon persona to fight back to reclaim its body. Everyone gets sucked into this galactic dimension. We see that shadowy entity one more time, the one connected to those green tubes, say, I think we are inside their inner world. I guess inside Gamma and Regulus's inner worlds. The Digivice picked up a weak signal telling Hiro that Gabumon was still inside Regulusmon, but Gabumon didn't have enough power to come back or escape, so by syncing with Regulusmon, Hiro was able to send energy to Gabumon. It's cool, it works, I have no problem with this, I actually think it's great. Then we see one of our predictions come true. The Gamma and Gulas entities are able to split apart, at least in this spacey dimension. Kano Vicemon goes back into the Siriusmon form, so now it's Regulusmon versus Siriusmon. An amazing fight, again, top-notch Ghost game animation. Bloom Lordmon wants to assist Siriusmon, which would have been cool to see, but is too weak. Dilbitmon and Amphimon beg him to let them out of that binding so that they can fight alongside Siriusmon. Amphimon says, we have to be the ones to do this, which is a line I totally loved. Bloom Lordmon frees them. Now we have all three Megas fighting Regulusmon, and it looks incredible, and stakes-wise is great. This is Digimon Ghost Game at its best, and kind of the most we could have asked for this week, besides meeting the one who was sending Digimon to the human world. It feels like we're winning. We're on top of the world when Regulusmon uses that weird arm cannon we've been curious about since we saw the VB pixel art last fall. He exclaims Genius or Genius and then blasts a hole straight through Siriusmon's chest, ending the second last episode on an incredibly dark note. The preview gives us very little visually or in its narration to work with, but we get these incredibly cursed images of Gabumon fading away. I think these clips will only probably cover the first couple minutes of 67 because they really don't want to give anything away in this preview. So episode 66, to anyone who thinks I just hate this show and I'm just negative for the sake of being negative, well, this episode slapped. This ruled. We got a surprising amount of explanation for what has been going on in the show, which surprised me because of how much the show has starved us of explanations up until this point. I don't like that we didn't learn any of this until the second last episode, but the way it was delivered here, while fast, wasn't nearly as weird and corny as it was in 65 when Hiro's dad tried to explain the Digivices and the portals. Gulas really is this weird, evil entity that existed outside of Gabumon before Gabumon and needs to now be stopped. It sounds like one of the predictions from last week's prediction video, track styles to be specific, is actually coming true, where maybe we don't need to live with or accept the dark side of Gabumon, but actually need to eradicate this dude who truly is the villain of Ghost Game. Still, Black Agumon, Black Gargamon, and Black Growlmon, in addition to Black Tailmon, were nowhere to be seen this week, which is alarming. There are 22 minutes left of Ghost Game, and I'm going to be incredibly disappointed if they play no role in the climax. And just remember, it's not that they just appeared each one time every time Gulas did. During his fourth appearance, they all three appeared together, signaling they were some kind of group and not just Digimon being created or corrupted on the spot when Gulas appeared. We also have Felismon, Vamdemon, Lilithmon, Weedmon all out there to remember. I'm not saying I think they have to come back, but more so I'm saying let's keep those in mind as things that have not been resolved and, I don't know, keep Ghost Game accountable. It's not correct to say, wow, Ghost Game answered everything in 66. It definitely didn't, but it answered a lot in 66. So let's see what they have in store for us in 67. I'm also hoping for some clarity that this great being Bloom Lordmon is defending has been the one sending Digimon to the human world all along, like since episode 1, or if that was something / someone else and this entity only started sending Digimon to the human world recently. Until the show says otherwise, I'm going to assume the one Bloom Lordmon is guarding has been the one sending Digimon to the human world since episode 1 and just kind of picked up the pace recently as the digital world became worse and worse in terms of the GRB corruption. From my perspective, 64 was great, 65 was a huge miss, 66 was awesome, so I'm hoping and praying 67 is on the same level as this episode here. What did you all think of the episode? Let me know by leaving a comment. Of course, I'll be reading and replying to stuff all week. Do you think Gulas had any plan for the human world? Was it just chance that Hokuto sent Gabumon to the human world to be Hiro's partner, or was there something else we haven't seen yet? Did he know Gulas was somewhere inside Gamma? That was still unclear to me, and I hope we get answers there next week, maybe another flashback that could be vital. Thanks for watching, subscribe so you don't miss next week's review of the finale. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.